As KPIX 5's Wilson Walker reports, the Biden presidency is fueling new hope for the vaccine rollout in San Francisco. Wilson?
Yeah, Alan, San Francisco supervisors held an emergency meeting today to discuss the city's vaccine rollout. They say the effort thus far has been marred by confusion, frustration, and a lack of vaccine, and yet they also expressed a great deal of optimism.
And I know that with the coordination, with the ability of the president to invoke the War Powers Act, we will accelerate the increase of vaccinations. And that's why we need to be 100% ready.
Help is on the way, a familiar call that we have been hearing for weeks now from elected officials and healthcare professionals alike.
Now, one thing that's going to really help is the new administration is going to take responsibility for running things much better.
Expectations are high, but like turning the proverbial aircraft carrier, it will be a slow and deliberate task. So what can the administration do right away?
I would say the single most important thing right now is having a predictable supply of vaccine. Now, others might say what we need is money to pay for vaccinators and clinics and things like that. Obviously, yeah, that too. But I think, we could have all the money we want for vaccinators. If we don't have a predictable supply of vaccine, it's going to be a real rate limiting step. So I'd back it up to the manufacturer.
President Biden is expected to use the Defense Production Act to those ends, but there is a more complicated expectation for his administration that new management, new intent alone will change the course.
We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation. One nation.
I think having goodwill at the top and good people at the top makes a huge difference, And I think having competent people who are not, I'm now thinking of a certain Stanford colleague of mine who is not, pushing an agenda and just trying to play the cards as they fall, makes a huge difference.
So an emergency meeting, Wilson, what else came out of this?
Well, they heard from representatives from several healthcare outlets. They, of course, get their own supply of vaccination. They said the biggest challenge that they face is also uncertainty about the supply of vaccines. So they told the city that on their end, that is the kind of thing they would like to see resolved as well. So look for vaccination supply to maybe be top of the list of demands from every outlet on up to the state capitol as they look to the Biden administration to start solving some of these problems. We don't often see administrations stacked up on one crisis like this. It's going to be an interesting compare and contrast in how these two administrations handle something so large.
A crisis like none other. All right, Wilson Walker in San Francisco, thank you.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is expected to speak to the World Health Organization tomorrow. The Biden administration plans to rejoin the WHO. Dr. Fauci will be leading the U.S. delegation at the WHO's meetings this week. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is likely to work just as well against the coronavirus variant first detected in the U.K. That's according to a new study which has not yet been peer-reviewed. Researchers say the variant would not be able to evade the protective effect of the vaccine. Meantime, former California governor and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger received his COVID-19 vaccination today. The 73-year-old star posted a video of himself receiving the shot at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. He encouraged others who are eligible to do the same. And be sure to check out our KPIX5 COVID vaccine resource guide. There you will find out who is eligible for a shot and how to get one. Just go to kpix.com/vaccine.
Unfortunately, it's been one of the deadliest days since the pandemic started. California reporting 694 new deaths, more than 22,000 new cases. The rate of positive tests over the last 14 days is 11.3%. Take a live look at Oakland. City leaders there extending sick leave for workers amid a surge in COVID cases. The city is requiring businesses to give workers 80 hours of paid sick leave if they are affected by coronavirus. Now, that includes those who are either sick, have been exposed to the virus, or have to care for a sick loved one. The ordinance applies to businesses with more than 50 workers, and Oakland's new law went into effect immediately.
President Biden is already working to revise fuel economy standards, and that could help the environmental push here in California. The president signed an executive order today directing his government to revise standards to ensure they cut pollution. For years, the Trump administration battled California's effort to maintain a strict cap in emissions from cars. They argued there should be a national standard instead. This new policy is part of a larger order to roll back President Trump's environmental actions. Former Google and Uber engineer and entrepreneur Anthony Lewandowski is avoiding jail time thanks to former President Trump. Lewandowski had been sentenced to 18 months in prison for stealing trade secrets from Google, but he was one of dozens of people pardoned in the final hours of the Trump administration.
Back here in the Bay Area, San Francisco police investigating a burglary at a small private school. The investigators say that somebody broke into St. Monica School. It's at Geary and 24th. Happened Monday night. The principal tells KPIX5 that about 10 computers and 10 iPads are missing. The school reopened for in-person learning about a month ago. If you saw anything, call SFPD's Richmond station.
Still ahead, another live look at the nation's capital, where we are awaiting remarks from President Biden as part of the Celebrating America TV special. We'll bring it to you live when it happens. And coming up all new at 6 o'clock, immigration at the top of President Biden's to-do list, why some in the Bay Area are saying his plans are not enough.
I thought it was done.
You are a woman with a very public reputation for hunting monsters. It's time you own that reputation.
This is getting worse.
It always gets worse.
This is deep and dark, Clarice. Can you sleep? Or do moths wake you up?
The most important thing in the Chevy Equinox is not front pedestrian braking. And it's not forward collision alert either. No, the most important thing in the Equinox isn't any of the advanced safety features we've put into it. It's what you put into it. Chevy Safety Assist, standard on every 2020 Chevy Equinox.
Current competitive owners with an eligible GM credit card can get $7,250 total allowance on most 2020 Equinox models. See your Bay Area Chevy dealers today.
The no sales tax event. We pay the equivalent to your sales tax.
Lazy Boy. Live life comfortably.
Stop whitening your smile the old-fashioned way with strips and trays that can take 30 minutes to an hour. I'm Jonathan Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. When I met Dr. Ginniker and he introduced me to Power Swabs and I saw how effective they were and how easy they were to use, I knew we had to share it with the world. Power Swabs was clinically studied to whiten natural teeth as well as stain caps, crowns, and veneers. It's so effective, it works on stains caused by coffee, tea, red wine, and even smoking.
After just 7 days, the results were awesome. Power Swabs was easy to use every day. From beginning to end, it's definitely whiter. They look clean, they feel clean, and people have made comments about it, which is nice.
This new year, order Power Swabs and receive up to 40% off the retail price. Plus, get free shipping and a free Power Swabs Quick Stick pen with your order. Visit powerswabs.com or call the number on your screen.
Diamonds at their lowest prices in years. Half-carat solitaires are now $4.99. 1 carat $9.90. 2 carat $12.50 per carat, plus 1 carat studs $5.99. And the guaranteed lowest prices on thousands of GIA diamonds. Buy direct. The Jewelry Exchange, Redwood City.
Taking a live look at the White House once again, where we are told that President Biden's motorcade has just left, headed to the Lincoln Memorial for the big Celebrating America TV special. In this day of the pandemic, they can't hold the traditional inaugural balls that are usually held every 4 years. So this is what they're holding instead. And as soon as the president starts to speak, we will bring that to you.
Meanwhile, a record close in the stock market today as President Joe Biden was sworn into office. The Dow jumped 257 points. The Nasdaq was up 260 points or 2%, and the S&P gained 53. Many investors are hopeful for another stimulus package and smoother COVID vaccine rollout ahead. And shares of Los Gatos-based Netflix soared nearly 17% today after the company reported it passed 200 million subscribers. Netflix says it will no longer need to borrow money to help finance its programming. And the Mega Millions jackpot is growing closer to $1 billion.
Well, we're so close because no ticket matched all 6 numbers the drawing last night. The top prize now, $970 million. The next drawing set for Friday night. And get this, Powerball jackpot not too far behind, $730 million. That drawing is tonight. Both jackpots rank among the top 10 largest ever. They have been rolling higher and higher since September through twice weekly drawings and no winner.
Coming up, how 2 South Bay teenagers are reaching out to other young learners in their community.
I never planned on being in an accident, but that truck didn't stop. The truck accident left me with so many questions. I gotta call the Barnes firm. That was the best call I could have made.
No more hanging leg raises, countless crunches, and gut-busting sit-ups that cause stress and strain on your neck and back. Now it's time to get up off the floor and coast your way to great abs with the Ab Coaster Max, the 5-star rated fitness breakthrough that can help you get lean, sculpted, sexy abs, a chiseled midsection, and defined cut obliques. Just kneel down to the padded seat, place your arms on the cushioned handlebars, and bring your knees forward. It's that easy. The secret is the Ab Coaster's natural arc motion. This smooth bottom-up motion creates a constant core contraction. Every rep on the Ab Coaster Max works your lower, middle, and upper abs from the bottom up, and on the way down works your upper, middle, and lower abs once again. That's twice the ab sculpting results you'll see in half the time.
My clothes fit better because I'm tighter, I'm leaner, there's more definition.
The Ab Coaster did this. I have lost over 5 inches in my waist. This Ab Coaster system, it really works.
In fact, an independent study conducted at a leading university proved the Ab Coaster engages abdominal muscle on every rep with virtually no stress or strain on your neck and back. Plus, with just a twist of the seat, you can work your left side obliques or right side obliques, or glide from side to side for a quick ab ripping express workout. So don't do any more abdominal workouts on the floor. The Ab Coaster's safe bottom-up motion is easy to do and easy on you, allowing you to trim your waistline and sculpt your midsection so you see results fast. And when you're done, it rolls away for easy storage.
This Ab Coaster thing is real. What can you say?
At fitness facilities like Gold's Gym, Ab Coasters can cost up to $1,000. Call right now or go online to abcoastermax.com and try the Ab Coaster in your home for a full 30 days for just $14.95, plus free shipping. But wait, we'll also include the rep counter so you can keep track of all your reps, a fast-track meal plan, and 14-day express program to get you ripped quick. Every coast brings you one step closer to having those amazing tight-toned abs you always wanted. Don't wait and try yours today.
No one plans on having an accident. That morning, it happened to me. After the fall, I had so many questions. I gotta call the Barnes firm. And that was the best call I could have made.
Tonight, we will be live, so don't forget to break out your most patriotic sweatpants.
They are known for their baking soda volcanoes and robots.
A pair of South Bay teenagers introducing STEM to those who don't often get the chance to learn it. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's Jefferson Award winners.
Alan and Liz, the best friends are making a difference for the 1 in 5 individuals under 18 who are special education students in California.
Okay, once you have your tray filled with water, you can take your boat.
Meghna Repika and Nithala Pungavan show how to float a milk carton boat on dish soap.
That's great.
The 2 high school seniors formed Young Inquisitive Minds in 2018 to bring hands-on STEM learning to people with developmental disabilities. Meghna of Lynbrook High School and Nithala of Santa Clara High wanted to inspire the same curiosity they had growing up as daughters of engineers.
It's just this excitement that they get seeing this new thing because they've never had the opportunity before.
Young Inquisitive Minds serves under the umbrella of VIA Services, a Santa Clara nonprofit serving people with disabilities.
Finding those connections is really important.
Nithala says she and Meghana have spent more than 850 hours teaching 350 children and adults at local recreation centers and high schools.
It really shows that we're not very different. Although we might have different physical abilities, in a sense, we all share that common curiosity for science.
That's good.
And during the pandemic, the teens have transitioned to virtual classes, expanding to programs like Stanford's Kids with Dreams and a Florida nonprofit.
She does know them by name. And
Alexandra Reyes looks forward to the weekly lesson, from making slime to sweet treats.
The most favorite I like is the ice cream. I could eat it.
I'm so impressed with these young ladies. And
David Grady is regional manager of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities.
Yeah.
He says Nithala and Meghana's inclusive program is a model for how special ed students can grow in their social interactions and prepare for future employment.
Or the more we can begin to offer these supports at an earlier and earlier age, it begins to reduce stigma.
And it should power your boat like that.
Both teenagers say volunteering has changed them, too. Meghana plans to study psychology and Nithala, robotics.
Self-love and acceptance is something that they've taught me.
I really want to build assistive technology for people with disabilities.
Yes.
So for creating an inclusive STEM program for people who are differently abled, this week's Jefferson Award in the Bay Area goes to Nithala Pungavan and Meghana Repaka. And starting next month, the pair will start teaching virtual classes to students in Afghanistan. Alan.
Amazing stuff, Sharon. Thanks.
Yeah.
We will have an online ceremony next Wednesday, January 27th, to honor all of last year's Bay Area Jefferson Award winners. We'll also reveal our silver medalists who will be considered for a national award. To register for a seat, no limit. Go to our Jefferson Awards page, kpix.com/hero.
And let's go back out live to Washington, where Bon Jovi is performing. Now, this is a virtual event called Celebrating America. This is in lieu of all the balls that are usually held on Inauguration Day. So different performers are all over the country doing their big performances. This is a special hosted by Tom Hanks. And now President Joe Biden will give a speech at the Lincoln Memorial. Kamala Harris will speak as well. And this will all air tonight at 8:30. Should be a great show, but it's sort of a brave new world here with all these virtual events. And here in the Bay Area, we're lucky enough to have some great weather.
Yeah, perfect weather today. It was a little bit on the cool side in Washington, D.C. High temperatures were only in the 40s for the inauguration, but it could be worse. Ronald Reagan's second inaugural, the temperatures were in the single digits. So, yeah, they're thankful they didn't have to deal with that on top of everything else. Clear and chilly across the Bay Area tonight, but temperatures just dipping down into the 30s for inland portions of the Bay Area, which is normal for January, but we just haven't seen much normal weather lately, especially in terms of those temperatures. Mild, dry conditions prevailed again on Thursday, but then things take a sharper turn on Friday. Not only is it going to be much cooler with highs back to where they should be this time of year, but also our first chance of showers heads our way on Friday. Let's take a look at it with Futurecast. We'll start by Thursday evening with the wide view here with increasing clouds overhead tomorrow. Let's put it in motion and track those showers. They get closer to the coast, and they should be moving onshore in the North Bay just after midnight tomorrow night, the very early hours of Friday morning. But before the sun comes up, and those showers are going to move across the Bay Area, it's not going to be an all-day washout on Friday. We're going to see this first burst of showers. It's not going to amount to a whole lot, a few hundredths of an inch of rain overall. That moves through, but we're not necessarily done. There's going to be some sun peeking out by mid-morning. More showers, though, developing as we head towards midday. These are going to be scattered. It's going to be hit or miss stuff, but some locally heavy downpours here and there. Those push farther off to the east as we head into Friday afternoon, and we should dry out for the rest of the evening. But more rain chances are in the forecast down the line Sunday, and then again, maybe lingering into Monday, but especially Tuesday and Wednesday. It looks like another round of some heavier rainfall across the Bay Area, helping us to eat away at that rainfall deficit that we've been running so far during the rainy season. For the High Sierra, it's going to be snow. And like the rain in the Bay Area, it's not going to be a lot of snow with this initial band of moisture. We're talking about a couple of inches near Lake Tahoe, especially in the higher terrain, but around Tahoe itself, maybe an inch or so for South Lake Tahoe. Not very much, but when you add up all the moisture that's going to continue to surge into California throughout next week, they're going to pick up several feet of snow in the high Sierra. So some beneficial rain for the Bay Area and some snow to add up on that snowpack in the higher terrain. Temperatures today reached up into the mid to upper 60s. Not a whole lot of variation to our high temperatures. 65 degrees in the city, made it up to almost 70 degrees Half Moon Bay and in Concord. Tomorrow's temperatures are still going to be above normal, just not quite as far above normal. Temperatures right now, still in the 60s in most locations. Just a few spots dipping down into the 50s. We're going to cool off rapidly now that the sun is down. We're going to end up in the 30s inland by tomorrow morning in most locations. A few spots clinging to 40 degrees, with temperatures around the bay and along the coast managing to hang on to the 40s. Again, all that's very normal for January. High temperatures tomorrow, 2 to 4 degrees above average around the bay, but about 6 or 7 degrees above normal farther inland. One more unseasonably warm day. Just the slight drop in temperatures lets us get used to what's headed our way by the end of the work week. Temperatures along the coast reach up into the mid to upper 50s by tomorrow afternoon. For the South Bay, it's going to be low 60s with mostly mid 60s in the Santa Clara Valley. You're going to be some of the warm spots on the map. Low to mid 60s for the Tri-Valley. Inland parts of the East Bay should be pretty nice overall. Not quite as much sunshine as today, more of a mix of clouds and sun. But just another nice day. Enjoy, get some exercise before those rain chances start to move in. Temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees near the bay, with low to mid 60s for the North Bay as well. Temperatures farther north from Mendocino and Lake counties reaching up to similar territory into the mid to upper 50s and low 60s. A drop in temperatures for Friday. More importantly, that first chance of rain. The first one tends to be the weakest when we get out of one of these dry weather patterns. So the next round of rain on Sunday, mainly late Sunday into Sunday night, that looks like it'll add up to a little bit more. Some of those showers could linger into Monday morning, and then the heavier rain settles in for Tuesday, and especially Tuesday night and Wednesday. Looks like we could pick up maybe ½ an inch to an inch of total rainfall just from that system. So that brings in the concern that we have to watch those wildfire burn scars around the Bay Area, make sure we don't have any debris flow issues. There's always something to occupy our attention, but overall, getting some much needed rainfall, beneficial rainfall for the Bay Area is exactly what we need as we head into the last full week of January. Coming up at 6 o'clock, I'll have a look at this evening's dog walking forecast. Elizabeth?
All right, Paul, thank you. Well, more coming up at 6 o'clock, more on how the Bay Area is welcoming in the era of Biden and Harris, and the Bay Area connection to one of the Bibles Vice President Harris used during her oath of office.
The new Biden administration has an ambitious plan to reform the country's immigration system, and on day one, it already has both fans and critics. I'm Devin Feely in San Jose, and coming up, we'll take a closer look at what's being proposed.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina, along with spokesman Rob. So, Rob, tell the folks at home who should call right now.
Just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now. We're going to answer all of your questions, and we'll let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. You heard it, folks at home. Pick up the phone. Call now.
Do you own a home or a condo? Then it's time you learn about American Residential Warranty.
Hi, I'm Anthony Sullivan.
And I'm Michelle Edmonds.
And we're here with important information for every homeowner.
Did you know home appliance and major system breakdowns cost homeowners an average of $1,700 per year in repairs and replacements?
American Residential Warranty can help cover those costs with home service plans starting at less than $1 a day.
For most covered repairs, you simply pay a small service fee, and American Residential Warranty will take care of the rest,
including parts and labor.
American Residential Warranty replaced my dishwasher with a brand new one, and I only paid a small service fee.
I woke up on a Saturday morning, there was no hot water in the shower. So I called American Residential Warranty. They sent a repairman to fix the problem the same day.
Plan options include coverage for central air, heat, and ductwork,
interior electrical systems and plumbing,
major kitchen appliances,
water heaters,
washers and dryers,
garage door openers,
ceiling fans, and more.
Even pools and spas.
American Residential Warranty gives you security and peace of mind with plans starting at less than $1 per day. And you get a 30-day money-back guarantee on any plan.
Call now or go to getahomeplan.com to learn how you can get 2 free months.
And for a limited time, you can get a home security system valued at $850 free with any plan.
You can call American Residential Warranty 24 hours a day.
Their customer service is incredible. When my air conditioning was broken, they came out and my AC was fixed the same day I called.
You can save money with a home service plan from American Residential Warranty.
Call now. There's no obligation. But hurry, if you wait until you need a home service repair,
it'll be too late.
Call 1-800-910-7448. Again, that's 1-800-910-7448 or log on to getahomeplan.com today.
Hi, folks, we're back, and we're here to remind you if you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you how much money you can get for your accident and how quickly. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should call right now.
Just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. Call now.
And President Joe Biden is speaking right now. Let's listen in.
That I will faithfully execute.
We are in one of those moments now. The pandemic, economic crisis, racial injustice, the climate crisis, and threats to our very democracy. And the question is, are we up to it? Will we meet the moment like our forebears have? I believe we must, and I believe we will. You, the American people, are the reason why. I've never been more optimistic about America than I am this very day. There isn't anything we can't do if we do it together. And that's what you'll see tonight. Stories of ordinary Americans who do extraordinary things. That's how we'll celebrate America and respect and represent America in our time in office. America built of decency. It's built of decency and dignity, of love and healing, of greatness and goodness, of possibilities. This is a story that guides us, inspires us, and unites us today and always. So thank you for this honor. I will give my all to you. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops.
This is all part of a big television special that will air this evening at 8:30. Here's our lineup tonight. CBS News special, One Nation Indivisible, starts at 8 o'clock, and that's followed by Celebrating America, what you just saw a little glimpse of at 8:30. And BART has begun to phase out its old BART cars, but they won't be sent to the dump. KPIX5's Don Ford tells us how you could own one for yourself.
Have you ever dreamed of owning your very own used, worn-out BART train? What do you mean, no, not really? Well, BART says you can, and they'll give it to you for free. Some of these cars have been running for decades, and most, like this one seen here in time-lapse, are being recycled as new cars replace them. Now BART says not so fast. Some of the cars have sentimental value.
It just started yesterday. Basically, we're opening up the suggestion box, and people can make their suggestions for how they would use a BART car if it were donated to them.
You have to complete a pre-qualification proposal detailing exactly what you plan to do with the old car. Many will go to museums, nonprofits, and yes, the general public for free.
You know, not out of the question that somebody would use it for a tiny home if they have everything else in order.
God help me if I had to live in a BART car forever.
There are people who are already doing it.
My name is B. People call me B.
B is excited about the idea that regular folks could get a car.
How much?
It's free.
What? I love free trains. Give me my train. Mom, I got a house. It's a train.
Not quite as easy as it sounds. The vetting process will last months. You will need to have your own big rig, insurance, and the cars are strictly as is.
We want to have some of these old BART cars, some of which have been carrying passengers for almost 50 years, have a second life.
In Oakland, Don Ford, KPIX5.
BART says it may take a year to vet all the applications. The first free car isn't expected to go out until 2022.
Now at 6 on KPIX5 and streaming on CBS and Bay Area, we're tracking the celebrations in Washington, D.C. as the Biden-Harris era begins.
Now, one of the top issues on Biden's to-do list, immigration. Why some in the Bay Area say his plans don't go far enough.
I'm John Ramos in Berkeley. When Kamala Harris took the oath of office today, she made sure her Bay Area connections were well within reach. We'll have that story coming up.
Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
And I'm Ken Bastido. Let's take a live look at the White House tonight. Joe Biden took the oath of office as the 46th president of the United States. He spoke at the Lincoln Memorial just moments ago.
We have learned again that democracy is precious. And because of you, democracy has prevailed. That's why Jill and I, Kamala and Doug, wanted to make sure our inauguration was not about us, but about you, the American people.
Kamala Harris made history, becoming not only the first woman, but the first black person and first person of South Asian descent to become vice president. And a live look at the Lincoln Memorial, where in the next 20 minutes, Vice President Harris will deliver her first remarks. We'll bring you that live when it happens. And here in the Bay Area, people are reflecting on this monumental day and historic day. KPIX5's Kenny Choi is live in Oakland, where Vice President Kamala Harris was born. Kenny?
Liz, no surprise today that many people here in Berkeley and Oakland celebrating and supporting the new administration of Biden and Harris. But in 2020 in Alameda County, 17% voted for Trump. We heard from many people today who still believe that the election was stolen.
I think Biden's a class guy and a gentleman. So I think in the long run, if we can get through this divisiveness, will be okay.
We know people who have ended their friendship during this election, and I still know that she has great morals and she's still a great person.
Even though I'm a Republican, I'm a good person, and I rescue dogs. Crazy, right?
We're one nation, you know, but for the last 4 years, haven't seen that way because we had someone attempting to divide us.
He pulled the scab off of our political system so that all of us can see just how corrupt our political system and a lot of our political elected officials are.
For our granddaughter.
Yeah, our granddaughter.
They know that, and they know she grew up right across the street, and it means a lot to them.
District, just to see them have a model like that. I mean, this is I just feel so refreshed right now.
And no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, Kamala Harris making history today as the first African-American to ascend to the nation's second highest office and the first person of South Asian descent to become vice president. We're live in Oakland tonight. Kenny Choi, KPIX5.
A lot of firsts. All right, Kenny, thank you.
President Biden is hitting the ground running on immigration reform, signing a series of executive actions today. The Biden team has a reform plan ready for Congress, but some here in the Bay Area say it just doesn't go far enough. KPIX5's Devin Feely joins us from an immigration rally outside San Jose City Hall. Devin?
Yeah, that immigration rally behind me is ongoing. Now, under President Biden's plan, it would take an immigrant living in the country illegally at minimum 8 years to become a citizen. Immigration is one of the thorniest issues in American politics, as evidenced by the fact that this plan that's just 1 day old is already being criticized by some for going too far and by others for not going far enough.
I came to this country, I was 3 years old, and my sister was 1 year old.
Flor Martinez is a dreamer. She wasn't born in the United States, but grew up here in hopes someday, perhaps under a Biden administration, to become a citizen.
We need help, and we have hope for this new administration to do their part and be the change that we're looking for.
After the Trump administration's often xenophobic rhetoric and anti-immigrant policies, immigration advocates have high hopes for the new Biden presidency, as well as concerns that his plan may take too long and leave too many people out.
We are contributing to the economy, so I think it is time for us to have a green card, and we don't want to wait 5 years or 8 years. We want a green card immediately.
President Biden's plan would allow DACA dreamers to immediately apply for permanent legal residency. Other undocumented immigrants could apply for temporary legal status for the next 5 years, and 3 years after that, be eligible for citizenship.
I think that we should all be working for ways to bring people out of the shadows.
Former San Jose City Councilman Johnny Camas left the Republican Party fed up with how it talked about and treated immigrants. He says he hopes the Biden administration will succeed, where so many before it have failed.
I'd rather see people come here legally, but the path to citizenship has become so difficult to traverse that a lot of people are finding it much easier to come here illegally.
You know, Devin, technically the president has control, the Democrats rather, have control of both houses of Congress right now. What are the chances that the president can get this legislation through Congress?
You know, I think everyone sort of understands that this would be an uphill battle. The president would likely need some form of bipartisan support, and his highest priority, it has to be getting the virus under control and dealing with the economic fallout. But the counter argument is, if you don't try, you're almost guaranteed to fail.
Devin Feely reporting live. Thank you, Devin.
Taking a live look out at the state capitol, there is a heavy police presence here right now after groups of protesters faced off with police, but things have calmed down significantly. KPIX5's Andrea Nakano is live at the state capitol for us. Andrea?
Yeah, Liz, all has been peaceful and quiet here at the state capitol so far today. There was a protest earlier, but that ended fairly quickly. Now, there are rumors that there will be another gathering here tonight, but there is a very heavy police presence here to protect the state capitol and the buildings in the downtown area.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel safer now.
Police officers from local departments, the CHP, and the National Guard surrounded the Capitol on this Inauguration Day.
They were begging to come down here, you know, to see the Army man, because he wants to become one. So does this one.
Roughly 50 protesters gathered in the morning chanting through the streets of downtown Sacramento. They were greeted by barricades and a heavy police presence. Aside from this protest, it was just a select few walking around the grounds of the state capitol.
One car drove past shouting some stuff at me, some Biden supporter, but I mean, other than that, it's been pretty calm out here.
Those in this area feel there is no doubt that the thousands of officers standing guard at the Capitol have deterred protesters from taking serious action today. Many are hoping peace continues to prevail as President Biden takes over the White House.
A lot of them, it seems like they're just kind of out here for a good time and to cause trouble, and when there's real consequences, I don't think they're going to show up.
Now, there's been a very relaxed mood out here today. They've actually decreased the security measures. When we first got here, all of these barricades were up and we weren't allowed into this area. There was no traffic flowing on 10th Street, but that street has now opened up right in front of the Capitol. Live in Sacramento, Andrea Nakano, KPIX5.
Andrea, you spoke about the protesters, but you also spoke to a family that was happy that there was such a heavy police presence. What has the mood been like out there today? Has it been celebratory or kind of calm?
You know, it's been really calm. People are just kind of walking by this area, just observing what's going on here. Some people talking to the officers, but a very calm atmosphere out here tonight so far.
All right, Andrea, thank you. We'll still ahead on KPIX5 and CBSN Bay Area. A last-minute pardon from President Trump keeps a former Google engineer out of prison.
Plus, the significance behind one of the Bibles used during Vice President Harris's oath of office and its Bay Area connection.
And some concerning news about the gray whale population along the West Coast.
Still your best friend, and now your co-pilot. Still the workday, just the night shift. Still home sweet home, just more mobile. Still hard work, just a little easier. The Chevy Silverado, making life's journey just better.
Current competitive owners with an eligible GM credit card can get $7,250 total value on this 2021 Silverado. See your Bay Area Chevy dealers today.
Say hello to Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together. Ring Central. Work together from anywhere. we pay the equivalent to your sales tax. Lazy Boy. Live life comfortably.
Villains, robbers, bandits, crooks, they're all over your TV screen. But the biggest thieves are behind your screen. I'm talking about the cable companies. They charge monthly subscriptions, fees, rentals, and force you to take long-term contracts. Well, it's time to say goodbye to the cable guy, because now you can watch 4K Ultra HD broadcast TV for free. Introducing Clear TV's new 4K Ultra HD design, the Premium HD. Just plug it into your TV and start watching for free. You will instantly receive top-rated network shows, local news and weather, sporting events, and even Ultra HD 4K broadcast shows, all for free. Thanks to federal government mandate, all broadcasters are required to transmit a digital TV signal through the airwaves. The new Premium Clear TV lets you bypass cable or satellite to bring network and 4K broadcast shows directly to your television. Retract the antenna to keep it small or extend them for maximum reception.
Setup was so easy. I took my Clear TV antenna, plugged it into the back of the TV, and now I can watch my favorite broadcast channels anywhere in the house for free.
If we're just off the coast here in the Gulf of Mexico receiving free network broadcast HD TV, imagine all the free shows you'll receive at home.
Basic cable and satellite services can cost you up to $80 a month. That's $960 a year and almost $10,000 over a 10-year period. Watch TV in as many rooms as you like with no additional monthly fees. Stop spending money you don't have to spend. Call or go online now and get your premium Clear TV 4K Ultra HD antenna for only $19.95. It's backed by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Order now and you can add a second Clear TV free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's a $40 value for only $19.95.
I can't believe I get all these channels for free. Plus 4K Ultra HD. Clear TV is for real.
Some Bay Area health officials pinning their hopes on the Biden administration to speed up delivery of COVID vaccines. Those vaccines have been coming into the state, but often counties don't know how many doses to expect in any given week. And from there, public frustration as people are asking, how do I sign up? When will it be my turn?
The answers to those questions thus far have often been inadequate, sometimes entirely inaccessible, and constantly shifting.
Yeah, there are signs that this latest post-holiday surge has peaked. COVID hospitalizations here in California dipped below 20,000 for the first time since December 27th. The state reported over 22,000 cases today, and that's less than 1% jump from yesterday. You can head to our COVID-19 vaccine resource guide at kpix.com/vaccine.
An 11th hour presidential pardon for a disgraced Bay Area tech engineer. Before leaving office, former President Trump pardoned former Google and Uber employee Anthony Lewandowski. The engineer had been sentenced to 18 months in prison for stealing trade secrets from Google. He was one of dozens pardoned in the final hours of the Trump administration.
Still ahead, we are waiting still now for Kamala Harris to deliver her first speech as vice president, and we'll bring you her remarks when they begin.
Clear skies this evening and a pleasant day today, and one more dry, mild day tomorrow before things change. We'll talk about how they're going to change coming up in the forecast.
Video conferencing on KPIX 5 News, provided by Ring Central.
What did you do on your sofa today? At Living Spaces, we understand you're using it more than ever. You probably took a few calls there. You most likely supervised your son's virtual class. You may have even taken a nap. With sofas starting at $295 and seating you can customize, our variety allows you to do anything. Plus, you can take advantage of free shipping on purchases over $99. Find a design that fits what your life looks like now. Only at Living Spaces.
Living Spaces.
Come on, honey. It's not there.
You relied on a village to raise her. Now you rely on a Honda Civic to protect her. With Honda Sensing to keep an eye on every turn and Apple CarPlay to help her find her way.
Hey Siri, text Mom I made it. Actually, text everyone.
Right now, everyone can get a great deal on a new Civic, but it'll be gone in a flash. Honda is family. Ask anyone who owns a Honda.
Oh
my gosh. Wow. Who am I? Under eye bags and wrinkles are so frustrating. I came across Plexiderm and I was so excited. We have a model. All he's doing is taking a small amount. It's so powerful. That's all it takes. Tightens the skin and smooths it out. Gently rub it underneath your eyes, on your fine lines and wrinkles, and it visibly disappears in as little as 10 minutes.
You know, I felt something happening, but I had no idea. Like, I have so many dark circles. I have the puffiness. I have the lines. Like, it's amazing. I love it.
Holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
This holiday season is the best time to get Plexiderm for only $14.95 and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Visit Twin Pine Casino and Hotel for the Cold Hard Cash giveaway. With cash drawings every Saturday in January. Play your favorite games and you could win a whole lot of cash. Only at Twin Pine Casino and Hotel. Play fun, feel safe.
Getting health care. A big moment for your employees. And a big moment for you. And it all happens thanks to the experts at Paychex. When you track hours for dozens or thousands of employees, the Paychex suite of payroll solutions can handle it all. And when you have better things to do than stay up to date on the latest regulations, Paychex can help with that too. 50 years and thousands of experts in payroll, HR, benefits, and insurance. Sign up today for 1 month free at paychex.com/future.
San Francisco City Hall lit up in red, white, and blue to celebrate a new president and vice president.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Kamala Harris taking the oath of office earlier today. When she was sworn in as the first woman of color to ever hold the job, she brought with her an important symbol of her Bay Area upbringing.
KPIX5's John Ramos has the story.
By taking her oath of office, Kamala Harris made history today. And in doing so, she made sure her own history was close at hand. When the new vice president stepped forward to be sworn in, it was a moment her longtime friend Debbie Meslow will never forget.
It's just so momentous. I just keep on playing back when her hand was on the Bible. You know, I just can't see it enough.
There were actually two Bibles, one from the late Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. The other was one owned by Regina Shelton, a woman who cared for Kamala and her little sister Maya when their single mother worked late. She was the woman who taught the young girls about Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and encouraged them to dream big. Members of the Shelton family were at the ceremony today, and Meslow, who helped Kamala on many of her campaigns, says it was Miss Shelton who inspired her to reach the political heights.
And so that family Bible is what she's been sworn in on for every inauguration, every swearing in that she's had.
The fact that she was sworn in on Miss Shelton's Bible. This is a community pillar right here in Oakland. Here it is.
BART director Latifah Simon was a struggling single mother when Kamala began mentoring her, passing the lessons of Miss Shelton forward. Simon says she expects Kamala to be more than just the first woman vice president.
She is going to transform the office of the vice president to an office that it's not about being a number two or second in command, but about being a global leader.
And whatever history she makes will come from the history she's already lived.
Kamala brought all of that with her today. She brought all of us with her today.
In Berkeley, John Ramos, KPIX5.
Well, both women say Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, makes close friendships and has a tradition of calling friends and family on their birthdays to sing a slightly off-key version of Happy Birthday. And we have a